We're going to get right on into Twig. Folks, welcome to Twig, your weekly, geekly, family-friendly news show that tackles everything from the future of games on Netflix to the future of Twig, with some games in between. I am your nerd pastor, Nate. I am really the pastor of Checkpoint Church, a real-life church online designed with nerds, geeks, and gamers in mind. If you're listening on the podcast version of the show, be sure to give us a good review. Click that like. If you're ever on YouTube, come and listen live on Twitch every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, although none of this means anything because we are taking our break, and when we come back, things are going to look a little bit different. We like to start the show with what you've been watching, playing, and reading. As for me, I have been watching not much at all. I have been watching some Let's Plays, such as The 100 Line with Weeby, as well as Minish Cap. Game Grumps just started Minish Cap, so I'm watching that. But other than that, just a bunch of YouTube. I can't think of any shows in particular. I really need to catch up on the anime, but time is a fickle thing. I have been playing a lot of Judgment, which is the game from RGG, the Yakuza people. Super enjoying it. I got to chapter 5, and chapter 4 ended with such a good cliffhanger that I am on board. I'm hoping to play Persona 5 Phantom X soon, but as of yet, I have not had the chance to queue it up. And then I am playing Whittle Defender on my phone, which is from the same people that made the oh gosh, what was the name of the game? I can't remember the name of the game at this point, but they've made a bunch of good mobile games that are super gacha heavy, and I'm not going to be doing the gacha elements, but it's a pretty fun little experiment. I have been reading The Bible Says So by Dan McClellan. I have been reading Man Made of Smoke from my book club, Labas, which is a book from the 17th century that is quite dark. The Fullest Possible Love by Paul Chilcote. I think that's pretty much the highlight. Hum, of course, our book club pick. So I am busy with lots of wonderful things. But yeah, do let me know in the chat what you have been watching, playing, and reading. Without further ado, however, we are going to get into our trending headlines. The first of which is that Valve is making Steam more accessible with new tools in its latest beta for Big Picture Mode and Steam OS. Players can now adjust text size, enable high contrast mode, and reduce screen motion. Steam OS users, like those on the Steam Deck, also get a built-in screen reader and color filters that work across the UI and games. These features are part of a new accessibility tab in settings, and Valve is inviting feedback to add even more. It's a solid step towards making gaming more inclusive for everyone. We love to hear about this at Checkpoint. We always try to highlight good accessibility and people doing good things with what is needed in the realm of accessibility to make games for more people, to love people better. As a church, we, of course, believe in a lot of things, but some of our ethos involve doing good, doing no harm, and striving to grow together. Those are our rules in our Discord space. Those are things that kind of embody the culture here at Checkpoint. And a part of that doing good is making accessibility. Doing no harm is limiting inaccessibility. So this is good on both fronts, and I love to see it. I'm not sure what it will turn out to be, but I typically don't use these things anyway. But just because I don't need the accessibility initiatives doesn't mean they aren't incredibly necessary. I remember when they first added alt text to things like Twitter, and that was a huge leap, a huge step. Thank you for that resubscription there, Post Church Project. So it was a big step whenever they opened up the doors to accessibility there. I have tried my best to use alt text, and I will say that is one thing that I actually think AI is pretty good for. Even if you are somebody that is not a big fan of AI, totally get that. However, putting in your image into something and saying give me alt text for this makes it so much easier than having to have some kind of doctoral level understanding of how to describe alternate text for an image. So I've been a big fan of that. I've been a big fan of that as a way to make my own content more accessible and make the impact that I can with what I've got. So that is a cool initiative going forward. We're going to get into something surprising next. The new co-op climbing game Peak from the creators of Another Crab's Treasure has become a surprise hit, selling 1 million copies in 6 days. It has reached over 100,000 concurrent players and topped Steam's best-selling games list, surpassing major titles like Elden Ring Night Rain and Dune Awakening. Players take on the role of stranded nature scouts trying to escape a mysterious island by climbing a treacherous mountain where one slip can be fatal. Despite its humble beginnings as a game jam, its success prompted quick updates from developer AgroCrab, including crash fixes and quality of life tweaks. The reason I highlighted this one is I think that this is another drop in the coffer of multiplayer games and Twitch culture, streaming culture being a real push for game development companies. So they expressed some chagrin. This is Aggro Crab, who made Another Crab's Treasure, which was a pretty memeable single-player Crab Souls-like. And it did okay. But then they make this silly game that happens to be multiplayer, and it has done phenomenally. And so I think this is an interesting new reality of the multiplayer scene online being a really susceptible ground. If you can find the right audience or even just the right streamer to start the chain. I mean, think about Fall Guys, right? Like this was 4 or 5 years ago and I'm still seeing Fall Guys updates. More recent examples might be, I think about Helldivers 2 or what was the game that there are a lot of them now that have just kind of come and gone of that sort of type that I can't even remember at this point. There's what's the word? There's a couple of them where you're trying to land on a planet and explore the planet. Oh man, there's so many of these at this point, but this doesn't surprise me. I would be interested in knowing how quickly the audience of these games falls off, because I think that's the real risk with these co-op experiences, is that they're doing really, really well and they might be crashing pretty hard. So I'd be curious to know if Aggro Crab sees continued success or if long-term success of Another Crab's Treasure ends up being better than Peak, even though Peak, ironically, peaked here. So welcome in to Marlena. Glad that you are here. We're going to get into our final of our main headlines stories, which is Netflix is scaling down its gaming efforts, removing 20 games from its service in July. The list includes well-known titles like Hades, Braid, and Death's Door, as well as Netflix exclusives such as Monument Valley 3 and Rainbow Six Small. This follows the quiet closure of its internal AAA studio Team Blue late last year and the removal of its interactive TV content by May 2025. Despite previously ambitious plans, including promises of monthly game releases, this shift signals a major retreat from Netflix's original gaming ambitions. I don't disagree with you, Marlena. I do think that the Netflix gaming thing has been strange. I will say I was proud of Netflix there for a while. I thought they were doing good work. I thought that they were taking the lead. They were doing some good things. They were backing some important games. Monument Valley 3 was a big deal to see. Oh gosh, Perry would know the name of the other game, but there was another game that they did where you're talking into a walkie-talkie or something along those lines. And they made the sequel to that, Oxenfree 2. So there's 2 games that I wouldn't have expected to see a sequel that got a sequel because of Netflix's backing. I thought that was cool for indie devs and for smaller game developers. So I thought it was a good initiative. I like seeing games getting support, especially from burgeoning studios and companies like Netflix. But alas, what are you going to do? I think this is disappointing news to hear, but also, it lasted while it lasted. I will say the Amazon Luna is still around. So somehow that has outlived the Netflix gaming scene for some way, shape, or form that makes no sense to me. But if you have any thoughts on this one, or if you were an avid Netflix gamer, I will say that's kind of the bad part, right? I think that of the Netflix games, even the 3 that I mentioned that they made, I don't think I actually ended up playing them. I think they kind of just sort of sat, So I still have to play Oxenfree 1. I just know about it. I enjoyed Monument Valley. I just never got around to playing the 3rd one. It's only been out for a couple months at most. So curious stuff that they just dropped it like it was hot, but we'll see if this is truly the end of the end or if they come back with something else. And now it's time for a quick ad break. So for this quick break, we're going to be talking about this month's Checkpoint Club picks. July is stacked. First up, we have our book club. We are reading How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying by Django Wexler. It is like Skyrim meets Deadpool at a D&D table. It is funny, it is fast, and just the right amount of unhinged. Do be warned that I think the language is pretty strong in this one. The age range that the AI came up with for us was 15 plus, but from the sounds of it, it may be a little bit more like 18 plus, a mature-esque game. For Game Club, we are playing a game that has been on my list for a long time, Moon Remix RPG Adventure. This is a cult classic game that flipped the RPG genre on its head and inspired, you guessed it, Undertale. You don't slay monsters, you save them. It is weird, heartfelt, and very Checkpoint. I'm very excited to finally get this one in the tool belt. Anime Club is chilling with Aria the Animation, a wholesome, beautiful, and might just convince you to slow down and touch grass game or anime to pick up. All of the combos are going to be happening over in our Discord server for these. So hop in, pick a club that interests you or all three, join the forum thread, and let us nerd out together. All right. That has been our ad read, and we are going to move now into our main topic of tonight, which this like I said, this stream is going to go short, and that is already proving true because we are nearly through the show, and this is not going to take a long time to talk about. But we are going to be pivoting TWIG in the coming months. So maybe you have ever slammed the button in the middle of a boss fight, a tough boss fight, just to breathe, to kind of collect yourself. Hit the save, maybe if the game lets you do that, and then hit unpause and come back a little bit stronger. Try to take it another time. Well, tonight we are doing exactly that with The Week in Geek itself. Every full episode of TWIG takes hours of prep and editing on my end. You may or may not realize this, but I am not only the talent here that is putting on this show, but I am also the full-time producer and full-time editor of this weekly show. So every news article, every guest, every segment, all the graphics, all the editing, the rendering, the posting, all of the things. It's all me. And it's a lot of work. Now, I will say the reason that we've kept TWIG going is because of the 60-second clips that we put out onto TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. These are the real view gatherers, the community gatherers. 9 out of 10 of our views probably go towards just these little shorts. Almost everyone who has ever joined our Discord or joined our community through TWIG has probably found us through these shorts and not through our main show. Now, I don't consider that a failure. I consider that feedback. I think that this is the algorithmic game telling us that we need to respec our skill tree. And respec we shall. We're going to be taking a mid-season break for vacation during the month of July. We are going to be recalibrating this show that we call TWIG. When we return, it is not going to be the show that you have probably gotten used to. We are going to be moving, if you're familiar with FFX, Final Fantasy X, we're going to be moving from one skill tree path, and we're going to be respecing, drawing in all of our skill points, and going down another line. Long story short, we're still working out some of the kinks in the road, but at least the things that are going to be happening is we are going to be moving into a bi-weekly episode season. So rather than an episode a week, we're going to be getting an episode every other week starting in August. I'm not quite sure what day of the week it will be, but you will know whenever we get started, especially if you join our Discord server. That'll help you find out the information that you are looking for there. I'm also hoping for a tighter runtime. I'm hoping that the new show will be closer to 30 to 45 minutes, not an hour to an hour and a half, depending on our guest of the week. We're going to keep up the same structure as far as keeping things in touch with 3 headlines each week. However, they might be a little bit shorter. Maybe they'll just actually be the headline and not so much anything more on top. Maybe it'll be delivered kind of like this has been so far, just sort of a talking head at a screen instead of a guest during this section. We're still going to keep moving forward with one big story, one main segment, a deep dive. I think we've had some really strong ones this season that I've particularly enjoyed putting together, and I think have been really good products on the other end of things. In particular, our last one, which we responded to the Holy Post, I thought that was a fantastic main segment, and it's led to some really good conversations. However, we could probably be a little bit more intentional about these things that we're talking about during our main segments. You may or may not be aware, but we have these things every month called DLC. These are difficult life conversations. They happen over in our Checkpoint Discord server one Sunday a month. And what we essentially do during this time is we have a special guest, or we have a special theme or topic. For instance, for July, our topic is going to be the power of the pause, P-A-U-S-E, in which we talk about how important it is for us to pause as gamers, press that pause button, and become contemplative. That could be maybe better tied in to TWIG. So maybe our main segment for TWIG coming up in August will be a little bit more intentional as far as each main segment relating to our overarching DLC theme. Now, maybe there will be more like trending headlines that we need to discuss. Maybe we'll have special guests during that segment who, as to so far, have not been able to join because of the fact that it's a nighttime show that doesn't always line up with people's schedules. So time will tell exactly what we actually end up doing with that, but I'm hoping that it will release the flow a little bit, especially given the fact that we'll have 2 weeks to prep for that main segment instead of only a few days. But there are some things you can expect to stay the same. Of course, Cryptic Critiques is going to have to stay. It is some of my favorite content. It's some of my favorite games that we put out there. I love bad reviews of beloved games. I think it's a part of our metaphorical liturgy that we have here on the show. You're still going to be getting short content. That is, like I said, the bread and butter of this experience. If nothing else, I'm just hoping that this will make it even more intentional. It'll be able to make those shorts last for 2 weeks because we are taking the time to make a better, more deep experience of a show. They work, so we can't stop dropping them. They get good attention and they get people to know about this little thing that we have called Checkpoint that tells them that God loves them and that we care about the things that nerds, geeks, and gamers care about. So we're keeping Twig, but it's going to be changing. And we don't know what those changes are exactly going to look like, but we will let you know as we figure it out. For the time being, enjoy July. Understand that we will not be streaming Twig throughout the month of July. Maybe we'll still have some streams here and there because I don't want our Twitch channel to completely crumble under those several weeks. But as far as Twig goes, expect it to kick back up in August with an every other week, shorter, more intentional show, hopefully relating to some of the broader themes that we have going on here at Checkpoint Church. Do let me know your thoughts about this, any ideas that you might have. Future thinking, I would love for this show to not so much be my production and instead let me either stay on as talent or back off completely. And let's have some of our leadership within Checkpoint step in as executive producers of this show, if not on-screen talent for the show. So we'll see. Long-term goals, that could be really exciting if it happens. But if it doesn't, at the very least, I've got to take it out of my schedule every single week. It needs to go into something a little bit tamer, a little bit more manageable, and of course, making room for our nerdy sermons, which are our priority content here at Checkpoint. We're hiring. I would love to hire. If I can hire you for volunteering, yes, exactly. If I can hire you for free, that sounds great. If you could be an intern for experience, that sounds good. I'll send you a checkbox every month. Yeah. That is the reality of what we are dealing with as a nonprofit charity organization that is trying to compete and keep up with the hustle grind of news culture like IGN and Kinda Funny Games. I think that our presence in the space is needed. I think that having friendly and encouraging and family-friendly gaming nerd news content, I think this is vital. I don't know of anybody else that's really doing this. I guess Moviga in a certain extent, but I don't know how much they're necessarily wrestling with news and more just kind of their thoughts about things. So this is different than what almost anybody else is doing, and I hope that you see the value in it like I do. So remember, as we wrap up this main segment, that we are proud of our message. We are proud of the ability that we have to boldly tell people that maybe have never heard it before that God loves nerds and that those of us here at Checkpoint love nerds and we want to be in community with them and that most importantly, they matter. So I will see you after the patch. The first bi-weekly drop is going to be landing in August. Hit the bell if you're ever on YouTube so you don't miss it. Better yet, join our Discord server so that you find out all this information as it happens. And as we wrap up this main segment, until the next time that I see ya, God loves you, we love you, you matter. Bye-bye. Okay. And now to the latter half of the show. Like I said, folks, we are booking it through this one. We are very nearly done. Now, I am a little bit worried that I might not be able to show you the meme of the week. We'll try our best, but first we got to go through our 3 things. So let's go ahead and all right, so these are our upcoming releases. These are 3 games or TV shows or movies or anything that is coming out in the next week or so that I am excited for. So we're going to start with the first one, which is Tamagotchi Plaza. Now, I have never played the Tamagotchi games. I have no real affinity for them, but I know a lot of people that compare them to Animal Crossing, a lot of people that compare them to The Sims, and so I'm curious. I don't know if I'll pick this one up or not. It'll really depend on how well it does, how well received it is, but I am at the very least very curious about it. My second one is going to be Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, which is performing critically. I don't know what the Game Awards are going to look like this year because doggone it, every game that is not coming out this year is critically acclaimed. I have no idea. what in the world is possibly going to be GOTY this year, because every game keeps saying that it's going to be GOTY. It is like nobody can miss this year. Now watch, now that I say that, it's only June, and so the back six of this year are going to absolutely be terrible. We're just going to have like no good games, no critically acclaimed games for the rest of the year. I hope that's not true, because we got a Pocket Man's coming out this year and I need it to be good. Of course, those are never very critically acclaimed, so I'm not too worried about that one, is what I'm saying. Anyway, I have not played the first Death Stranding. I did go and do a Goog, and I asked Google if I had to play the first Death Stranding in order to get into the second one, and Google told me yes. So that's not great. I don't know when this is going to happen. I really have no idea when I'm going to play Death Stranding 1. So Death Stranding 2, the critically acclaimed game of this year, I don't know when it's going to happen. Time will tell. I have nothing against Kojima. I've just never really clicked with Metal Gear, and this game's always looked real weird, and everybody's always talked about how boring it is. I don't have time. I don't have time for boring games. There are so many games coming out all the time. You're telling me I got to deliver packages? So I don't know. We'll find out if I ever get into this one, at the very least for the story. I do know that my boy Conan is in it, and so I want to see it. I want to see what Conan is like in this game and that kind of thing, but I just don't know when or if or how I'll make that work. Without further ado, we're getting to my third pick, which is not actually something I'm hyped for, but is something that I'm hyped for you to have in your life. Maybe one of the best games I've ever played, one of my favorite stories, a heart-wrenching experience, an absolutely fantastic 10 out of 10 indie. Until then, maybe you've watched our nerdy sermon on it. Maybe you had played it with us in our video game club. One of those scenarios. This game has officially arrived on the Switch in the next week, and I really, really hope that you will consider picking it up if you have not picked it up before. I'm not exaggerating. If you like narrative games, if you like walking simulators, if you like kind of slice of life, it does have some fun mini games in there. So don't, it does have fun mini games. If you like emotional, strong narrative games, Until Then might very well be my favorite. And you gotta pick it up. You gotta play it. It's so good. It's such an experience. It is absolutely like going to tear your heart out. You're going to end the game in tears, no matter what, if you don't cry many times throughout it. And it's a masterpiece. It's a fantastic game, and you absolutely need to play it if you haven't yet. And now you can play it on the Nintendo Switch. So no excuses. I think it's on just about every console. If it comes to the mobile device, I will be putting it in my recommended games once again. Okay, let's see if I can get this meme to show up without OBS crashing. Just for lack of knowledge, I'm just going to display it on the back screen. So this is by Nailhood. Oh man, I forgot our stinger. Hang on. Wait.
Meme of the week.
All right, so this is our meme of the week from Nailhood. It says DiGiorno pizza and cookies. And then you can see that they have put the cookies onto the pizza and baked it. I loved this meme. It got the most reactions. It's very, very good. It's very funny. I like that. I like the concept, I feel like if you can put pickles on pizza, why can't you put cookies? Maybe it'll be an absolute delight. So I will be congratulating Nailhood on getting our meme of the week. If you would like to be considered for meme of the week, simply join our Discord server, go to our Memes and Goofs channel, post memes that come to you, and the ones that get the most reactions by the time the next twig. I know, right? It does look kind of yummy. The ones that get the most reactions by the time we have the next twig could be our meme of the week. Okay, that's the end of the show. I know, right? Such a short one, an insanely short show. Yeah, it's Mike's super short show. Does anybody remember that? Does anybody know Mike's super short show out here in the chat? Do we know it? Are we familiar with it? Were we Disney Channel kids? Wasn't it Disney Channel? Oh boy. I was not really a Disney Channel kid, and I know Mike's super short show. So maybe that means it's not Disney and I'm mistaken. Anyway, we're going to be wrapping up here. This is the mid-season finale of TWIG. This will be the last time that we gather on a Thursday night for TWIG this June. We'll be picking back up with something in August. What will it be? We'll find out when we get there. So, for the last time for the next month, this has been TWIG, your weekly, geekly, family-friendly news show delivered live on twitch.tv/Checkpoint Church and youtube.com/Checkpoint Church each and every week, keeping your family connected to the world of nerdy news. If you watched this far, you likely enjoyed this one. Remember to give us a 5-star on your podcast app. Click that like button and recommend this show to all your favorite nerds, but not until August. You can recommend our backlog. Go tell people about what we used to do. We'd love to see a little affirmation, especially on the podcast. Oh, that poor podcast. Anyway, that is where we're going to wrap this one. But before we do, we need to say a special thank you. We appreciate everybody that watches the show, likes, shares, comments, all those things. We want to give an extra special shout out to those that also throw some bones our way. So if you contribute financially, either as a member over on YouTube or a subscriber on Twitch, you get read aloud at the end of the show. So thank you to both YouTube and Twitch subscribers, Twyla and Nerd Pastor Nate, a YouTube member, Leanne, and on Twitch, Dawson's Corner, Gobi Church, Corey, DJ Courageous, Mindful Marlena, Checkpoint Church, I Show Plug 2K, Tricky Time Tree, H-Man 1009, Resident Catholic 2192, Tina Christina P, Coyote 42, Xando Carizian, Yakeem 4752, Baby 30 Bats, Trombone, Dalek, Perspective, and Sneaky Pigs. And then, Gobi Church was on there, right? Yes, perfect. Post Church Project, I think, is the new username, and I just haven't changed it from Gobi Church. So there you go. Is there going to be Twig next week? No, there will not be Twig for the next month. So do not intend on watching any nerdy news here. You will have to go get it from our Nerdy News channel over on our Discord server. But we look forward to serving you some more wonderful content coming up in August. In the meantime, enjoy nerdy sermons, enjoy plenty of other content that we put out there, and we look forward to seeing you in our various spaces, whether that be here on the Twitch channel or YouTube channel, or over on our Discord server. With that, we're going to wrap this one up with our 3 things that we believe to be true about every single one of you out there, whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, hate God, hate church, no matter what. We believe these 3 things to be true about every single one of you. Number 1, that God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you. We want community with you. Number 3, that you, yes, you matter. You're a person of sacred worth. The world's a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, until the next time that I see ya, thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting Twig in this mid-season finale episode. And we will look forward to serving you once again in August. Until next time, folks, I'm going to go figure out what to do with these cats outside my door that I feel very bad for. And I'm going to do my best to not take them home because I cannot keep them, and that feels cruel. Anyway, have a great rest of your night. Bye-bye.